Jane Austen's presence in literature has always been well known. Austen's work suggests a strong influence in both her personal relationships with others, as well as subjects, such as music, to Austen's relationship with society, and its portrayal of her role as a woman. Yet Austen's literary works were introduced in the public sphere in 1813, only years before her death. It was at this time that Austen's brother and literary agent Henry Austen approached publisher Thomas Egerton, who agreed to publish Sense and Sensibility. After decades of both Jane Austen and her father's best efforts in approaching publishers, Austen's work had finally entered into the world, with a bang. Unlike today, the contagion of Jane Austen's name was typically done through word of mouth, or by letters. Yet websites like What Jane Saw, a database that gives a virtual tour of the same steps Jane Austen took, in art galleries such as the British Institution and the Shakespeare Gallery, and even music, chosen by PhD and master's degree holders from Ivy League universities, have been created into soundtracks of songs that Jane Austen herself was thought to listen to, giving us a more vivid picture of British society during the turn of the century and into the 1800s, a period in which Jane Austen radicalized the world. But what would happen if Jane Austen grew up in our time? Would she have a big media presence similar to someone like John Green, whose novels are not only driven by his social media presence, but also through the ways in which he engages with his audience?
Good morning, Hank. It's Tuesday. I've been writing all morning, so I'm just kind of out of it. I've been writing almost every day since I got back from the paper town. So, Hank, it has been 10 years since my first novel, Looking for Alaska, was published.
Then I got distracted by the huge pile of books in my room. I wasn't sure what they were for, but I signed them out of habit.
But the question I get the most often is, have you read the book? Yeah, I've read it. What'd you think? It was alright. Yeah. Did you read the book? So what do on set? Well, mostly just this. I listen to what's happening on headphones while watching on a monitor. I know this looks very boring, but it's actually amazing to see a story that for a long time existed only in my imagination become visible, which is why I am always laughing and crying.
As well as constructing grammar lessons for YouTube viewers around the world.
So I thought I would share with you my top 5 typos of all time. Oh god, it smells so good. Number 5, the Pasta Bible. There was a recipe for tagliatelle in the book that called for salt and ground black people. They meant pepper, but they were people.
Even creating their own community within the YouTube community, known as the Nerd Fighters group, which establishes the sense of connection between John Green and the supporters that consume his content, as well as Green's co-collaborator and brother, Hank Green, who coincidentally created the Lizzie Bennet Diaries. But how does this relate back to Jane Austen? From Europe to America, Austen has been an influential figure in literature and has continued to be widely discussed over decades. But the implementation of Austen's novels within our school systems aren't the only side of Jane Austen that is embedded into our society. Jane Austen's influence has altered through the mass amount of new Jane Austen material, in which we have accessibility to within our technologically revolving world that exists today. Yet physical examples still appear in the most unexpected of places. From clothes and jewelry inscribed with Jane Austen quotes, to new media platforms like YouTube, to Twitter, and even sites like TweetPing, which allow us to track tweets on a global scale, which, according to TweetPing employees, personal searches of keywords and hashtags like John Green and Jane Austen will soon be available for the public. TweetPing has the technology to track not only how many tweets are created in the name of someone like Jane Austen or John Green, but this site can also track how this changes over the course of time, even after only 10 minutes. This application is not limited to the amount of tweets being produced, or the time variables, but also shows who is producing these tweets. world of digital evolution that allows us to create our own resources that are intertwined with materials created by inspiring figures like Jane Austen, lending a hand in the push towards revolutionary thinking within our modern world. One example of this is Jane Austen's World, a blog that not only includes a discussion of Jane Austen novels, but brings aspects of Jane Austen's life into view, which is established through items such as Austen's personal letters, recipes, and even clothes and social customs upheld by Jane Austen and the women of her time. Yet despite the fact that we can sometimes be consumed by how much technology we have access to today, events like Jane-a-thon, a Jane Austen-related hacking event, seek to merge both the physical and technological worlds, and even skits and plays, enhancing Jane Austen's significance into the 21st century. From musicals to food, to events, and groups, using the name to represent a strong female figure that helps empower other women. Seldom, very seldom, does complete truth belong to any human disclosure. Seldom can it happen that something is not a little disguised or a little mistaken. We live in a society that is constantly rushed, but it is important to slow down and realize what influences lie within a city.